Hello everyone, I'm Dan Kristiansen, your 39th District State Representative, and I want to thank you for joining me on Legislative Update. Some time back I received a call from an employer in my district about a huge fine he was receiving from a state agency for an unintentional error in paperwork. This employer was working in good faith with the agency for nearly 7 years to properly comply with the state's rules and regulations. When he submitted the required paperwork, the agency approved it every time. But then one day, a new person at the agency took a new look at the paperwork and decided it had not been filled out properly. So rather than going to the employer to help correct the problem, the agency actually fined this employer $10,000 a year for a total of $40,000 for 4 years of paperwork violations. This was a $40,000 fine, not because rules and regulations had been broken, but because paperwork that had been approved by the same agency was later found to be incomplete. You know, with more than 14,600 pages of state agency rules and regulations which exist in the Washington Administrative Code that businesses are expected to know and comply with, so it's easy to understand how small paperwork errors might occur repeatedly, especially if an agency accepts and approves them. However, it's difficult to understand how employers in our state can successfully stay in business if government does not treat them fairly. I recently introduced legislation to address this problem. House Bill 1436 would prevent state agencies from retroactively imposing fines against a party whose actions were initially approved but the agency later found them to be in violation. The measure received a hearing in the House State Government and Tribal Affairs Committee. However, I was told the bill was on hold because of state agency opposition. Big surprise. You see, this method of operation could be a cash cow to many state agencies facing budget cuts. There's a huge financial incentive for them to become more aggressive with businesses. Now, when state agencies impose fines, they actually receive the money directly to their own budgets. And if they can go back retroactively 4 years, as they did with this employer, that's a lot of money. The downside is that it chases away employers and jobs from our state. This employer, he actually later expanded into another state where he actually created approximately 300 jobs. This is why we need to push for regulatory reforms in our state to get Washington working again. You know, in 2002, Governor Gary Locke's Competitiveness Council acknowledged excessive regulations have affected our state's business climate. The council wrote, "The current regulatory structure unnecessarily delays projects, creates unnecessary uncertainty, reduces operating flexibility, and increases barriers to business growth." Let me ask you this. In the last 9 years since that report was written, what has changed in Washington? Aside from the fact that we now have the highest unemployment in our state in 25 years, I would say very little has changed to improve our state's regulatory climate. Employers in our state play a vital role in providing jobs for families, supporting our communities, and driving tax revenue to support our state budget. It's time state government stops treating them like the enemy. I invite you to go to my website to see what we are proposing to get Washington working again. You'll see the address on your screen. I welcome your views and comments. Thank you so much again for joining me here on Legislative Update. I'm your State Representative, Dan Kristiansen. Take care.